welcome to the Unimaginary Friendcast. This is episode number 256. This is a conversation with your socially distanced best friends. We are your best friends.
I am Nathan Von Edmondson.
I am Erin Marie Betty Davis Jr.
And I'm DavidMonster.com.
And today, or should I say tonight, we're going to be diving into America's most historic city. Yes, I'm talking about Philadelphia, which has been made famous by President Donald J. Trump, who had declared in front of the whole world that bad things happen in Philadelphia, and then went ahead and sued the entire city after the election, accusing them of those bad things that he said that they were capable of doing. And given that more than half of the Friendcast is now broadcasting from Philadelphia, we thought we really needed to give this shitty Freudian slip, this city a fair shake, and figure out, is Trump right? Is Philadelphia the worst city in America, or is it the best city?
Bad things happen in Philadelphia.
We need to decide today, put it to rest, and move on. But first...
Wait.
Well, I'll go first.
Oh God. Oh, Jesus.
I'll go first with breaking news. Philadelphia has gone back into I would say partial or full lockdown again. So we've implemented a lot of the same lockdown rules.
What is a full lockdown? Like what?
Well, full lockdown, I guess, would be everything's closed and nobody can do anything, and that's not the case anymore. But they have gone back to no indoor dining, no gyms, no movie theaters, no museums.
Wait, you guys had all that? We still haven't had that in California.
Yeah, we had a little bit of that going on.
Well, movie theaters weren't open though, really, were they? I don't think
Somewhere.
so. Somewhere? Oh yeah, there was. Yeah, there were some like smaller local houses that were open.
So that just happened. Well, actually, it hasn't really happened yet. They announced it on Monday. They go into effect on Friday. And apparently that's happening all around the country now. And this is a little side news. This is a little news for anyone that didn't watch our episode 2 weeks ago. We broadcast live on election night. And I know everybody had a really tough week waiting for the results to come. And if they would have just watched our show or listened to our podcast, we called it that night. We called it right here.
Oh, so we were the first news.
We were the first to break the 2020 presidential election results. So I just wanted to boast a little bit because, come on, people, we could have been partying in the streets 4 days earlier.
Although when I went to bed, I thought, oh, all right, well, I guess Trump won. Didn't you look at the results and think, well, maybe Trump did win?
I trusted our data analyzation.
You did?
Our election desk?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry.
Nathan, what do you got?
It kind of goes off the same thing. I just been reflecting a lot on the United States, our country, since the election, and also with the upcoming COVID lockdowns coming on. And I guess I started watching Captain America recently. Again, I've seen it before. Wasn't my favorite Marvel film, but it really stuck out how he's the embodiment of these ideals that we claim America represents, United States represents. He's Captain America. But the things that are amazing about him, or what make him amazing, it isn't, of course, the whole movie is about how David, right? It's how physically attractive he is. He's got these big buff muscles. He's a really attractive dude. Like, he's like a specimen, but he didn't start off that way. He was like really skinny. He wasn't selected because of his body. That was all the fake stuff that they added on with the chemicals and the injections. He was weak, and this little guy got beat up all the time, but it was his character that made him be selected, resulted in him being selected for this experimental drug that led to him becoming Captain America. And the qualities that he exhibited were his willingness to sacrifice himself for others, the fact that he was honorable and a truth teller. He was honest. Yeah, but the big one is that he thought of others first. And he wasn't like this big macho person. It was this character that allowed him to take this role and be this leader. I just think there's a lot that we could learn from that. And like, what do we think the United States represents, or what do we want it to represent? And what is it representing now? What has it represented the last 4 years? What do we need to change about that going forward? And I was also just, so there's that aspect, but the other thing I just wanted to comment on is just with the COVID lockdown, thinking about others and how many people are struggling right now and have maybe been able to get back to work a little bit over the last few months after not being at work. And then, upcoming are not going to be able to work again. It's really tough. And we haven't made any efforts to, David, are you thinking about getting some plastic surgery?
Hello.
We have, our government really hasn't been helping the people who have been impacted the most in terms of stimulus funding. And it's really kind of depressing me recently. So just kind of frustrating.
It is tough when you think about like the restaurant industry, for example, are told to shut down, but they're given no assistance,
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do?
Totally.
But part of the reason why we're in this boat is because people won't listen to public health guidelines and follow the rules. So here we are again. So I don't know. There's no easy answer.
Yeah. And I agree with Nathan. That movie had some powerful messages, and I took those messages to heart too. That it doesn't matter what your character is, that if you can become hot and really good looking, everyone will like you. And I agree with that message. I agree.
That was what I tried to lead with, David. Thanks for bringing that up.
And even the girl, you'll notice, even the girl he liked didn't like him until he was hot and buff.
Well, what are we supposed to do?
So yeah, that's the good message is if you're ugly, then you don't deserve love and respect.
She gives him a few he's in little looks, like he's impressive. This is when he's really skinny. But as soon as he walks out of that chamber, there's big pecs and she touches it like it burns her. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you, Nathan.
David, what's your news?
Okay, I unlocked a mystery that we've been talking about for a while, and I know that I have the answer, and it might be kind of rambling, and it might not make total sense, but I have the answer 100%. Because I've been thinking on this, how do we reconcile with half the country? And how do we all have those people in our lives that support Trump? They support the hatred of his campaign and everything like that, but we know them as good people, correct?
Yeah.
Some of them for sure.
Yeah. So I finally figured out why it happens, why good people support seemingly bad things. And it's a human trait. And this is where it gets kind of rambling. You're going to have to follow with me. Is that it's because people, and it's mainly white people, they're in this zone of white supremacy and they don't realize it. And they're in this zone of privilege. And they may not even benefit directly from it. They may not be rich or go to good schools or anything like that. But in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even up till today, there's these pockets of white safety in America where life is safe, life is moral to them and everything. And even though they may never have had the thought of it, or they may not have ever had a racist thought, they're afraid that things are going to change. And what will the world be if it changes? If I'm not safe anymore, what will it be? And they don't, and they buy into that rhetoric, and they don't see. And because I realized it, because I was raised in this household, and I've had feelings like that every once in a while, and then I kind of examine them, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. I mean, we all have feelings of not being safe when the world changes. We all have that. What's it going to be like? But that's what it represents. And even I don't think, I forget her name, AOC. I don't think she's a bad person. I think that she cares. I think that she has some politicalness to her. And I'm sure that there's some corruption that comes in, as with any politician. But they see that as so scary because it's not their heritage. It's not what built them up. It's not what is safe to them. Because I don't know if you guys don't know this, but even in the 70s and the 60s, when there was unrest, there was civil unrest, the world seemed like so much more of a safe and secure place in the white community. And it's funny because white people don't realize that most other people didn't feel that way. Like the Black community didn't feel safe in the 60s, and they've always felt unsafe. So this kind of, I know it sounds really weird, but it kind of gave me more compassion for all these white people that freak out and they get all psyched up about it. And I think that's why they cling to things like religion and things, is because they're holding on to this thing that doesn't exist. It's an idea, this white supremacy, this white America that, anyway, so that's what it is. That's what is causing it's white supremacy, even though they don't realize it. They'll never have that thought like, I'm a white supremacist, white people are supreme. Does any of that make sense to anyone?
I think you nailed it.
Yeah, and I realized, and it kind of is like, oh, because I thought, like, how are we going to live with these people? Like, how can we live in a world where there's this so much hatred? It doesn't come from hatred. It comes from fear. And I don't think you'll ever resolve it for most of them. They'll go to their graves with these weird feelings. But I think that we all, if we can all, I think the greatest human the greatest human reaching outness, or the greatest human trait is kindness. I think if you could be kind to people you absolutely hate and think are evil, I think you're an extremely strong person, because I can't do it all the time. I don't know if you guys can, but I can't. And I would love to be able to be kind in all situations. But I think that's the only thing that's going to get us through, is to be kind to people we find hideous.
It depends on the person if I can be kind. When it comes to my family and my close friends, I find myself being exceptionally kind because I want to understand. And I think you're right. I think a lot of this comes from fear. And a lot of it's not their fault. A lot of it's, I mean, you can put a lot of blame on the news and the media and how information is passed around now, and it scares people.
Yeah, or even just the human race is scary on its own with the way it moves and shifts.
And even if you disagree with the thing that these people are afraid of, it's still fear, and that's still a very human emotion that we can all connect to. And that's why I'm such a proponent of traveling, and not just because, wow, the world's so beautiful, you can see all these cool things. It's because you can really experience life that's different than yours. And I think that's so incredibly important for every person in the world, but especially our country. And I don't mean, you don't have to take these big, extravagant European vacations, even if you just travel to another state or a city you haven't been to, and just go to a museum, just do some kind of activity that surrounds yourself in a different environment. Like, that stuff is so important. It's so important.
Totally.
Yeah, I just want to point out that, David, you demonstrated it so well, as your understanding of of empathy. I think empathy is a big part of this, and you laid out your whole argument there by talking about empathy and traveling, Erin. I think that's what cultivates that, and that's where you can access kindness, as opposed to in the news when they're turning the other side into an enemy constantly.
Yeah.
Problem. But another aspect of kindness is I think it's less something that you are or be. It's something you do. You practice
your actions. Yeah.
You act kind. So sometimes it's really easy to do that, and sometimes it's difficult. So there's always room for us to practice doing it more effectively. And empathy does really help with that, for sure.
Totally. I think it's the hardest thing, because intellectually I can understand that, but a lot of times I can't put kindness into action, especially like with people, like you said, with family. It's easy for you. With family, it's the hardest for me. I just want to start swinging and slapping and punching. And I do want to point out that our guru, our spiritual leader, Nancy von Edmondson, did say there is a lot to what you're saying, David. And then she went on to say, I think it really is a big part of it. And then CB Actor Traveler said, spot on, David, and Erin with the traveling. And I agree with CB Actor Traveler, because when you travel, you see a lot of differences in people, but you always kind of see people you'll really stick on the things that are similar, like there's similar values, or they want the similar things, or you see similar affection that they hold for the people in their lives, or they just have similar almost everywhere you go. Most people want a peaceful life where anyways, that's all. Yeah, so thank you, you guys. Thank you.
I just want to say one more thing to that, because that's so true, and I can speak from experience. There's been some places I've gone to where I had this idea of what life was going to be like there and people were going to be like, and it's scary. Like, I was in the Middle East. I was traveling through Israel and through parts of Palestine. Ooh. And that's really scary to me. That was really scary to me for lots of good reasons too. But once you're there and you're just a part of everyday life and you're meeting people and you're talking to people, and everyone is the same. Ultimately, everyone wants the same things. Most people are kind and good and welcoming, and you see that everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go. It could be the poorest village in India, which I got to visit with my mom. Actually, I don't know if she's watching. Or you could be in like the wealthiest city in Europe or whatever. But everyone is the same.
Yeah, I think we share more on so many levels than we have differences, no matter where you are. But those differences are where we decide to spend most of our time talking. I would also add to your challenge of, you don't necessarily need to go to abroad internationally, but if you live in a rural area, go visit a city. If you live in a city, go visit some rural countryside and actually spend time with people and communicate with individuals. Don't judge people from your car.
Totally.
Go to a restaurant, talk to the people who own it, strike up a conversation with someone on the street. I don't know, whatever.
Totally.
Whatever.
And CB Actor Traveler says, and not to be left out, good on Nathan with Captain America. So yeah, thumbs up to Nathan. And I think right now is a good time. I have a treat for the nation. I have a celebration of the victory. Congratulations to you. Congratulations, Joe Biden. You know what? This little white cake isn't enough. This is racist, and this is not representation of what America is right now. So, congratulations, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Oh.
This is not.
What were we doing? What happened? What?
This is not fun for us. We don't get to enjoy that cake with you.
I just want cake now.
I just want to point out that I'm a complete and total fat ass, because I was like, I'm going to bring a cake on to show everybody, but I already ate into it because I couldn't wait.
I guess it's your cheat day, David, huh?
Yeah, it's my cheat day. So what were we talking about?
And he has a muffin. Is that a muffin?
No, it's a cupcake.
Sorry.
Cupcake.
Is our gold star for this week.
Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm a little distracted. Hold on. All right. Say it again.
Our gold star this week goes to none other than John Bolton.
Yay! And what happened is John Bolton, who is the Trump's former national security advisor, said that Republicans need to come out and state that Trump's fraud claims are baseless. And I like his quote. And he said that his quote is, "I think it is very important for leaders of the Republican Party to explain to our voters who are not as stupid as Democrats think that in fact Trump has lost the election and that his claims of election fraud are baseless." And he went on to say that it's dangerous and it's an attack on democracy or something like that.
Oh boy, it's
so good.
Now I want cake. Thanks a lot.
I thought you were just going to nominate him because of his mustache.
I actually don't know what he looks like.
Really? You have to look up a picture of
He has
him.
a giant mustache. He has the biggest mustache
I will.
in the land.
But I want to say that these people who are speaking out against their party are the true heroes, because that's what we need. That's what's going to make change in this country, is people, calling their, like, it's easy to stand up against your enemies, but it's hard to stand up against your friends. Although I don't know how many friends Trump has, but Nancy Edmondson said, that's great. I don't know what she's talking about. She says you have icing on your nose and lips.
Yes, you do.
I'm on my. Oh, you're right. I'm on my nose. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right. Shall we get
Thank you.
our main topic for the night?
Let's do it.
I guess so.
I've prepared a very non-biased list of things that make Philadelphia, Philadelphia. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful.
Great.
And we get to vote at the end of the podcast whether or not we think that things really happen here and this is a terrible place like Trump thinks it is.
I looked up some stuff too.
Okay. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Some of these have pictures, which I will put behind me on the screen. So the first one does have a picture. You might not be able to see very well in the live stream, but what happened was a hitchhiking robot, it was a Canadian social experiment, was decapitated in Philadelphia. So the robot was designed to traverse continents on the kindness of strangers. And the robot could even talk. He can carry on some conversation and give out facts. And prior to coming to the U.S., his name was Hitchbot. He went all the way across Canada, from Halifax to Victoria. He was all over Europe, Germany, the Netherlands, comes to the United States, goes to Philadelphia, and immediately gets decapitated.
I heard there were even battery dents in the side of it.
They ripped his arms off. It's really sad.
Do you know what part of Philly he was in? Was it South Philly?
I don't remember. I thought it was somewhere in the Northeast.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad though.
He went across the whole world and could not get through Philadelphia. So that's Hitchbot. That's the first one. The second one is the Eagle Stadium actually used to have a courtroom and a jail to deal with rowdy fans, which I think was the only one in the entire country that had to do that. But there was just so many of them, they had to have a space inside of the actual arena.
Do you guys think it's Philadelphia or New Jersey that causes all the commotion? Or is it just the Philadelphians?
I don't know, but I have a few. This is kind of in the sports theme. So during a game, it was 2010, there was a 21-year-old fan. He was escorted out of his seat by security because he was being, unruly or whatever. And apparently it's reported that he leaned over, put two fingers down his throat, and started vomiting onto an off-duty police officer and his 11-year-old daughter.
Oh, no, I don't like that. If it was just
he
that's horrible.
Charged with aggravated assault and had to go to court and all that fun stuff.
Ugh.
So that was at a Phillies game. At an Eagles game, this was in '83, there was someone that used to go, it was a Redskins fan. Well, Redskins don't exist now, but at the time it was a Redskins fan, who is the Redskins and Eagles, if you don't know, they're kind of rivals. And this fan came up from DC, and they're, dressed in the full, Native American headdress, as kind of the customary costume that he would wear when he'd go on road games. He showed up at the Eagle Stadium, and first of all, he got beat up twice.
Oh man!
So the first
oh my God.
two people ripped off his clothes and threw feathers on him. And then at the end of the day, I guess it was the same two people and two others got him again, broke his leg, and he had to be in a wheelchair and crutches for the rest of the year.
Oh God!
Oh my God, that's terrible. I would just like to point out that Christopher Davis says that it still has a jail, and he was detained in it once.
I didn't know that story. Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, no kidding.
I didn't know the Lincoln Financial Field, the new one, also had a jail.
Wow.
Wow.
I used to work for the Phillies, but prior to that, and I think it was at a game that you and I attended together, was when I first witnessed Philly fans throwing half full bottles and cans of beer at the rival fans as they were walking to the stadium. Like families. Like, I didn't see anyone get hit, but they were being tossed. And
Half full. I admire that
they weren't empty. They weren't empty.
Oh my God. I would like to point out that the small white cake is not as tasty as the cake. The bigger cake of color is a lot more tasty and delicious.
You put chocolate on anything and it makes it way better.
Yeah. I just want to point that out.
I see what you did there, David.
Thank you.
I have two more of this within the sports theme, and then we can move past this. I like, it feels like anything I say within the sports world isn't going to make Philly look that great. But this was in 1968. This was a really famous event. There was an annual Christmas themed halftime show, and Santa Claus was supposed to participate, but wasn't able to show up because there was a snowstorm. So there was a backup, Saint Nick. He was selected from the crowd, and I guess people were kind of on edge because it was bad weather, and there was, they were mad that Santa didn't come earlier or whatever, but they just started bombarding him with snowballs as he came out into the field, just whipping him with snowballs. This is Santa Claus, people.
I thought the story was batteries. I think that's the misconception.
No, there were batteries against the opposing team at a game, several times at the Eagles and the Phillies stadium. Because I looked it up, especially for this podcast. Is battery throwing a real thing? And they're like, yes, battery throwing is very definitely a real thing in Philadelphia. And I want to hear more stories from Christopher Davis. And wait, I just want to say one more thing. In the future, we might get a call from Santa Claus because Erin and Nathan know him and he lives in Philadelphia sometimes. So that might happen.
So apparently the Eagles were really awful that year as well. Well,
yeah, Christopher David says it was totally valid that it happened.
The last sports-related one is that, and this is something that I was near. This was recent when the Eagles won the Super Bowl a few years ago. Someone actually ate horse manure off the street on camera, and it went viral.
That's right.
As a part of the celebration.
When was that?
That was after the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Was he an Eagles fan?
He was, yeah.
Encouraging an Eagles fan to eat.
You can watch the video anywhere online, but it was like a young college white guy probably. He was being egged on by hundreds of people. Do it. And he kneels over and takes a big lick of a big horse turd on the middle of the road.
Dude, now if Erin and Nathan were there, would they be egging him on?
I don't know. You get caught up in it,
I
would be egging him on.
I probably would be quite entertained.
Wait, right. Can we stop here for a second? What is it about Philadelphia? Because when you walk around Philadelphia in the daytime in broad daylight, everyone is super nice. I really like Philadelphia. All the people there in restaurants and stores and everything were helpful. So what is it that causes you guys to be more berserk even than like New Yorkers and stuff?
I don't know what the answer to that is. I think maybe just like a history of having really bad sports teams.
Yeah, a little shoulder, maybe.
I don't know. Well, so moving on to the next one, you'll see the picture behind me. This is the only tall ship restaurant in the entire world is docked at Penn's Landing. Nathan actually used to work there. It's called Moshulu. It's the only one in the world. And apparently has cool
I read about this. Explain this because I don't understand. Go ahead, go.
Yeah, so it was a ship that was seized by the U.S. and hidden in Oregon during World War I, and then seized by the Germans in World War II. It was also featured in The Godfather too, so it was actually bought by Disney for a while, and then ended up, I don't even know how it ended up in Philadelphia, but now it's like a 5-star restaurant, and it's docked in the water, and yeah, like I said, Nathan used to work there, but there's a photo behind me, it's pretty cool. It's called the Moshulu, but it's pretty unique to Philly. There's nothing like it anywhere else.
Yeah, I think I worked there a summer before we left for LA, and they do they have like dining there for dinner, lunch, that sort of thing. It is a beautiful experience. It's a really awesome ship. They do weddings on the deck, the main decks, or below deck. It's a really cool place. It's worth.
I'm gonna go. Do they have nice food, Nathan? They have good food.
Yeah, they're like rated very highly. I don't know what system they're rated on, but it's really good food.
But if you're in Philadelphia, the place to go eat is at Chef Christopher Davis's, and he says anyone who eats poo to express their happiness is pretty neat. So
that has nothing to do with his restaurant, though. That's his.
Oh my God, I cannot rave enough about his food. So yeah. Wait, what does that mean? Joanna Van Thoing says a city filled with Cinderella men. What does that mean?
It's Cinderella Man. Isn't he like an underdog? It was a movie.
It was a boxing movie.
I don't know.
But I don't know how much more that title means than. I don't know what her description of Cinderella Man, how much it relates to the movie.
Yeah, Joanna Van Thoing, can you explain that? Because we don't understand that.
So I'm going to move forward. So this is another thing about Philly that's very unique. Slices of Albert Einstein's brain are actually in Philadelphia. So there's something called the Mutter Museum, and it's one of two places in the world where you can actually see his brain. Although the other one's I forget where it is. It's somewhere. It's in at the Museum of Health and Medicine in Maryland, but I guess they never actually put it out. You can go to the Mutter Museum and actually see like slices of his brain. So he died in Princeton in 1955, but he specifically requested that his body was not to be studied after his death. But the pathologist on duty still removed his brain and apparently his eyes, and took them to the University of Pennsylvania to be dissected and preserved on over 200 slides.
Yeah, I heard about that. And they didn't find anything different, or something was bigger. I don't know. But Joanne Van Thoing says, yes, it's a city full of underdogs, like in Rocky.
Yeah. Oh, and then the next one is going back to sports again. There was the Curse of Billy Penn. Have you heard of that?
Yes, because they built something taller than Billy Penn, so they brought on the curse. I don't know how that works. I guess he got mad, and then the curse wasn't lifted until they built another higher building, and then he's like, okay, it's cool, and then he lifted the curse and somebody won, right?
I could probably explain it a little more clearly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Billy Penn. Who's that? Where's this?
So Billy Penn is William Penn, and people say that there's this curse over Philadelphia that it was the reason why all the sports teams were losing forever and ever and ever. And so he stands on top of City Hall, which is for a long time until I think 1987 was the tallest building in Philadelphia. And he was supposed to remain the tallest figure.
Yeah, it was like illegal to build taller than him.
So then the one Liberty Place was completed in 87. It was the first skyscraper to be taller than City Hall. And from that moment on, everyone in Philadelphia began to think that this was a curse, because for the next almost 30 years, no Philly sports team won any championship. And apparently in 2007, the Comcast Center was built, which is way taller, but they put a really tall replica of Billy Penn at the top.
Wait, a really tiny one?
A really tiny one. And then the next year, the Phillies won the World Series.
So it's true then.
I mean, you can take from that what you want, but the city might be cursed because of a statue of some old guy.
That's pretty cool.
Well, it obviously must be true, because if they built it higher and put him on the top, then the curse was broken.
And didn't William Penn, found Pennsylvania?
Yeah, he was a big deal.
I just want to point out that the Mutter Museum, where Albert Einstein's brain is also an excellent wedding venue.
Oh, I want to go there. Do they make you look at his brains while you're getting married?
It's a really amazing museum, actually. It's some of the most horrific preserved things you'd ever see.
Ew.
Like it. It's really weird.
Probably make you vomit.
I won't like it. And Joey Janotro says, in other sporting news, Philly has a great annual juggling festival, the Philly Fest at Friends Select School. I don't know what the last part means, but thank you, Joey Janotro. We would like to see a juggling fistfight fest, wouldn't we?
Yeah. The last fact about that Billy Penn statue, it's 37 feet high, and it's the tallest statue on top of any building in the world.
Wow. I didn't know
Wow. Have you guys seen it? I want to see it.
Yeah, you can see it from almost
just about
everywhere.
yeah. Unless you're
Because I've seen.
in a podcast building.
Well, I saw the original one, but I don't remember the other one when I was in Philadelphia. Are they close together or no?
You wouldn't see the new one because it's really tiny on top of the Comcast Center. The one you would see is on City Hall. That's the 37 feet.
Oh, that one's the tallest one. Yeah. I thought the other one was. Oh, okay, I get it.
So Philadelphia is a city of firsts. It has the first zoo, the first medical school, the first mint, the first daily newspaper. It was home to the first computer, which weighed 27 tons. That was in 1946. And it was home to many of the hospital firsts. So home to the first hospital, the first children's, like pediatric only hospital, the first cancer focus center hospital. And apparently Philadelphia is very well known for its whole medical sector. And 1 out of every 6 doctors in the U.S. is trained in Philly. Now, that sounds cool, but we have lots of issues with our healthcare system in this country. So that could be a good or a bad thing. We have to decide.
And they're tested, and 1/5 of all doctors are tested in Philadelphia.
Ooh.
That's true. Yeah.
David's bringing it. Okay, you ready for more?
I guess so.
Sure.
More cake, that is.
Yeah, how you doing on that cake?
I feel a little sick, but I'm gonna power through. Look, you want to see?
Are you gonna try to finish the whole thing tonight?
Wow, did you hollow out that portion today?
Yeah, it was hollowed out to there, and then I ate like all this. Yeah, no, it was when I got it last week, and then I put it in the freezer.
All right, my question is that icing or is that whipped cream icing?
It's creamy icing. It might be. I don't know. It's good because I don't normally like just plain old whipped cream icing. This is a little richer with chocolate on it. So it's better.
I'm a big whipped cream icing fan. I can't have the really thick stuff. It makes my mouth hurt.
I like that too. Yeah, this is like the thick stuff, and it was in the freezer, so it's not as good. That's the cake report.
Let me give you some more about Philadelphia because we have to decide. We have big decisions to make. The first moon tree was actually planted in Washington Square Park.
What the hell's a moon tree?
Yeah, so for whatever reason, NASA decided to send tree seeds to the moon. This was on Apollo 14. And then the seeds came back with the astronauts, and they were ceremoniously planted. And this was in 1975. So the first one ever planted, the seed that went to the moon and back, is in Philly.
Where in Philly?
Have you guys seen it?
Moon Square? Wow, cool. I want to visit the moon tree.
Why have you guys seen it? Does it have superpowers?
I don't know.
I hope so.
Just a tree that's been to the moon. So Napoleon's death chair haunts Chestnut Hill. Chestnut Hill is a neighborhood.
Ooh, I heard about this. Yeah.
In the Balleroy Mansion. It was built in 1911.
I want to go sit in it.
It's supposed to be one of the most haunted places in the world. And so it's visited all the time by the paranormal investigators. And but it was home to an antique chair that was once owned by Napoleon.
And I want to go sit in it. Erin, would that be a good idea?
Apparently a whole bunch of people who have sat in that chair over the years died immediately afterwards.
Immediately.
So with the owner of the mansion actually put the chair in storage and wouldn't let anyone else sit in it again.
Oh, I want to sit in it so bad. We should do it. Can you contact them when I come to Philadelphia and be like, can our friend on our podcast please sit in the chair? Nobody will care if he dies. Just let him sit in the chair. Literally, no one will care.
Yeah, I care.
I feel like they could sell tickets to that chair.
Yeah, why don't they? I would so sit in it. I would so comfortably sit in that chair.
America's first serial killer was executed in Philadelphia at a prison here.
Yeah. Wait. It was the first. Yeah, it was the first documented serial killer. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But there was a prison at Passyunk and Reed, which is in South Philly. It was opened in 1835. But yeah, it was just another first for Philadelphia.
Does the serial killer have a name?
Yes, it was. Oh, H. Holmes.
Okay.
He was executed for a gruesome string of murders around 1893, the World's Fair in Chicago. So he had 9 murders, but people believe that there were actually hundreds. He was hanged, but the hanging didn't really go as planned. It took nearly 20 minutes before he was actually pronounced dead.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Hey,
Sounds pretty brutal.
Philly! They botched the first execution of a monster.
Do we have any new quotes, David? Or
No, where is everybody? Christopher Davis, don't you have anything wacky to say? And Joey DeNotro, come on, guys. And Nancy Von Edmondson, and CB Actor Traveler, and Joe Antra von Thinky Thoing.
I want to see your shirt, David.
David, it sounds like my topic isn't enough for you.
What do you mean?
That you need all of our guests to interact, and what I'm giving you is not enough.
Ooh.
No, it is. I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe they're so enthralled. They're just listening to you.
I would think so. This stuff is fascinating.
All right.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Walnut Street Theater here. It's actually the oldest continually running theater in the English-speaking world, and it was once owned by Edwin Booth, who's the brother of John Wilkes Booth, who killed Lincoln.
Well, they're really.
Yay! You guys are wacky in Philadelphia. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Philly apparently has more Impressionist paintings than any other city in the world except for Paris.
Really? Did you guys steal them?
Yep.
Probably.
And we're Philly's considered the mural capital of the world. It has thousands of outdoor murals, more than any other city.
I see
Have
others
you guys?
trying to replicate that, but we did it first. So.
Because LA has a lot. Like when you guys are walking around Philadelphia, do you feel like Philadelphia has more? Does it feel like Philadelphia has more murals in LA?
Yes.
Really? Wow.
They're around every corner. So the next one, I have a picture behind me. We have a comment from a listener. I've been cited for drinking on the train 3 times in Philly.
Who is this listener, Erin?
I don't know. It's someone with my similar last name.
Have you ever been on a train with Christopher Davis and been cited for drinking with him?
No, but I have drank on a train with Christopher Davis.
What's the wackiest thing you ever did with Christopher Davis?
Oh my God. I don't think it
happened.
Go there.
Maybe not in Philly. So would it apply to this podcast?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be in Philly. I'd have to comb through a lot of wacky events. So behind me is our next one. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it is basically a whole bunch of people eating wings and vomiting with strippers around them. Because Philadelphia is home to the Wing Bowl. It's a chicken wing eating contest that draws crowds as large as 20,000 people in a big arena. And
really?
Basically, girls dress really slutty and like dudes eating a lot of wings.
What do the girls do? Like, what do the girls have? Are they the ones stuffing the wings in the guys' faces, or what?
It's actually a contest. Like, it's a legitimate contest people train for. Like
this photo, like they're bringing over plates of wings to the people who are competing.
Oh, so the hot girls bring over the plates?
That's what it looks like. Kind of like ring girls in boxing would be my guess. However, Isn't Wing Bowl done? Isn't it over now?
Well, probably everything's over because of COVID.
I feel like it doesn't exist anymore. But I would know people who would like stay up all night partying or go there. Like it starts at like 6 a.m. or something. So people are drinking at 6 a.m., partying all day for that event.
It starts at 6 a.m., the Wing Bowl?
I believe so. I think it starts very early in the morning. I'm not sure.
We have a wonderful request from CB Actor Traveler who says, I want to hear about Nathan and Erin's experience living in Philadelphia. I do too.
Let me power through this list. I have a few more.
Okay.
And then I'm happy to share some good and not good things about my time living here.
Okay, good. I want to hear it.
Probably
so hang on, CB Actor Traveler. Your request is coming.
Going back to sports a little bit, why are the Flyers, the Philadelphia hockey team, called the Flyers? Because the owner's wife just liked the name.
Okay.
That's all.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Do you know what the first business was in Philly?
Prostitution, I'm sure.
No.
What?
Beer.
Oh,
It
no
was
wonder.
1683. There's a brewery by William Frampton. And then the first lager was actually produced in Philly too in 1840.
Do you think that if you guys didn't have so much beer all the time that you wouldn't be as wacky as you are?
That could be.
Maybe. So Fairmount Park, which is the big city park here, is the largest landscape garden in the world. It's considered. It's 9,200 acres. It's huge.
Where is it? Is it beautiful?
It's huge. It's like
everywhere.
It's absolutely massive. It's like it's everywhere. But it's also the largest city park in the country too.
I want to see it. I've never seen it.
It's not like a thing that you go see.
You probably, well, I don't know where exactly you've driven through certain areas, but it just runs this huge stretch and kind of stretches out in different areas. So.
Okay.
There's a museum in Philly called the Penn Museum, and it's home to the largest Egyptian sphinx in the Western Hemisphere.
Oh, I want to go see it. Have you guys seen it?
No.
I want to see it.
And Philadelphia consumes 12 times more soft pretzels each year than the average American.
I have to admit, I'm not a fan of soft pretzels. If I never eat another soft pretzel as long as I live, I wouldn't care.
If you have a good fresh one, it might change your mind.
Yeah.
Are they that good? Because I've had some good ones where like, oh, this is good, but is it that good where you're like, oh my God, I have to have another one?
Well, it depends. If you get some good cheese dip or mustard dip, like, yeah. Yeah. I got another picture one. I think this might be my last picture one. David, I just think this is something you would love so much. It is canceled this year, unfortunately, but it is held every New Year's Day. It's called the Mummers Parade. It's the country's oldest folk parade, dating back to 1901. And it's just all these insane costumes, like extravagant, like jewels and glitter and bedazzling and feathers, and they're just all these dudes playing banjos, and that's kind of just what it is.
I'd like to. Have you guys participated in it ever? Not
participated. No, there's kind of these exclusive mummers clubs that they have these bands or groups of people that put together floats or put together whatever their act is that they're gonna parade down the street. And you have to be a part of that. You can't just join in. Yeah,
there's different categories of groups, whether they're like musical or show, or I don't even know what they are. But it's the day after, it's New Year's Day, right? I believe.
It's New Year's Day.
It's New Year's Day, and they just shut down the city, and it just is it extends New Year's Eve party extravaganza all throughout New Year's Day. It's really a fun event for the most part. People get away with a lot on that day. It's also pretty controversial, I'd say, in the last decade or so.
What isn't, though?
Yeah.
It's seriously one of the most beautiful displays of costumes you'll ever see, I think.
I want to see it. So you guys have seen it live?
Yeah. It's broadcast on television, and then it goes up Main Street and then down Market. It's quite a show. How about that?
I'll check it out.
It's worth just Googling images because it's hard to explain how insane these costumes are. They're absolutely gorgeous. All right, a few more. Cheese wasn't added to the cheesesteak until the 1940s.
What?
Right?
Ugh.
What was in it before?
Just steak. The Eagles helped to make the largest cheesesteak. You know how big it was?
300 feet.
The size of a football field.
300 feet.
Oh, wow. You were right. Wow.
We have the largest shopping mall in the United States, which is the King of Prussia Mall, which is so fucking big.
I want to go. Where is it? I've never been to it.
It's in the suburbs. It is it's too big. You can't even get, by the time you're halfway around it, you're exhausted. Like you need a scooter or something.
But is it all just the same crap, like the Gap and like,
I mean, they have all that and they have everything.
Yeah, it's like every store, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to go. Does the train go there?
Yeah, I think so.
So I want to go.
You guys all know that I've worked for a while at Eastern State Penitentiary. Nathan did too. We met there. It's an old prison from the 1800s. They had running water and indoor plumbing before the White House even did.
Wow.
And there's a suburb of Philadelphia. It's called Kennett Square. It produces 50% of the country's mushrooms.
Wow, that's impressive.
Just thought that was the
50%?
most random thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And the last one I have is that Edgar Allan Poe actually lived in Philly for 7 years and published 31 of his stories while he lived here.
I really like him.
Yeah. So that is all I have about Philadelphia that's officially on the books. I don't know if we want to vote now or we want to talk about some personal stories of Philly and then vote.
Let's vote.
Well, before, so we vote? No, this is what we'll do. This is what I think we should do. I have one question that she didn't, I have one fact that she didn't get to that I'm going to pose to you guys as a question. Sure. And then I think we should have your stories of Philadelphia, and then we'll vote on if those are better than the ones she even came up with. And, okay, my question is this. How much of the U.S. population lives within a 5-hour drive of Philly?
Ooh.
Is it 30%? Or sorry, 25%, 30%, 50%, or 100%?
Probably like 25 or 30.
I'm going to say 50.
It's 25%. But it seems like when you say it like the way they wrote it, a quarter of the U.S. population lives within a 5-hour drive of Philly. That sounds impressive. But then you realize like New York City is right there. DC,
Baltimore. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, huh?
Yep.
I didn't think of that. Before we get on to your stories of Philadelphia, Christopher Davis would like us to know that they grow the mushrooms in abandoned coal mines, which sounds really cool, actually.
I think he said shrooms,
That's
not
really
mushrooms.
Smart. That's really smart.
Oh.
Or is it the mushrooms in Kennett Square? Is that what he means? Or are we talking about psychedelic mushrooms?
Oh, yeah, shrooms or mushrooms, huh?
I think he's talking about the Kennett Square mushrooms.
Oh.
I have an interesting fact about Philadelphia. I've never done shrooms.
I don't know if that's Philadelphia specific.
I would like to once. I've done acid once, and I think I'd like to do shrooms once, and then that's it. But anyways, go ahead.
That's really interesting. Now I want to learn more about mushrooms.
Yeah, I'm just fascinated that so many are grown here.
All right, so we're gonna bust out the Philadelphia facts. Ready? Go, guys. Oh, the actual mushrooms, he's saying.
Well, what facts? Are we supposed to give like a terrible story and a good story about Philadelphia?
All right. Well, we can. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I can tell you some things about Philly, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Go.
I've had my car stolen and a couple bikes stolen in Philadelphia.
That's bad.
I'll tag on to that. I had one bike stolen and didn't directly witness a murder, but heard it outside my stoop when I was in an apartment. So there's that.
When I moved into my first house in Philly that was off campus from, I was living in the dorms and then moved into a house with some friends. The day we were moving in, as we were like, carrying our furniture in and stuff, we see some guy running down the street and then a couple cops chasing him, and they catch up to him right in front of the house and they grab the guy and they push him up against our house and start pulling crack pipes out of his pocket. So that was first move-in day.
I have another interesting fact about Philadelphia. I have never smoked crack.
Me neither.
That's good.
Okay, good. Have you? Nathan has, though, huh? Oh, yeah, no.
I'm trying to think of some good things about Philly. I'm having trouble.
I met my wife in Philadelphia.
Who? What's her name?
Erin Marie Betty Davis Jr.
I
used to portray Thomas Jefferson in Independence Hall, and I used to recite the first preamble to the Declaration of Independence while in Independence Hall, like at the conclusion of the play that I would do, while ascending these steps. It was really pretty awesome.
How much of it can you recite right now?
Like zero. I try to remember some of it, and I can never remember how it starts. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And I don't know. It's been so many years. It's been probably a decade or more.
Oh, my God.
Here's a chime in from Christopher Davis. I've had 5 bikes, 1 Vespa, and an apartment robbed in his time in Philly.
Philly sounds nice.
Yeah. I used to do this accent with the Thomas Jefferson thing where I'd be like, "We hold these truths to be self-evident." No, that's when I used to do it different than that. That's not it. That sounded like.
Wait, did you ever see him do it, Erin?
No, it was before I knew him.
Yeah.
I have another interesting fact about Philadelphia. When you're in Philadelphia, these things you guys are saying, you don't get that vibe from Philadelphia. I never felt unsafe in any part of it. Like, you can feel that in certain parts of New York City. You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain vibe in certain parts of New York City where you're like, okay, we better get out of this neighborhood. But if Philadelphia doesn't feel the same.
You didn't go to the right areas.
You were in the wrong.
I was downtown. Does that help or no?
Downtown's pretty mellow for the most part.
Okay.
Crazy shit happens downtown.
For sure, things can happen everywhere. But you know when you're in a rough area in Philly, like.
All right.
And it can happen like that. You can be in a really beautiful section, and then you can be in a really rough section, like.
Well, I want to see. I want to go at some point. I want to see what it's like.
There's some sections where it just looks like a war zone. Like, row homes are burnt out. It looks like they've been, like, bombs have gone off. Like, just it's some really depressed areas. It's sad.
Yeah, Nancy Von Edmondson just said that Nathan lived in a bad area for a while. Do you know what neighborhood she's talking about?
Probably a bunch.
Yeah. So I lived in North Philly for a while, which wasn't great. I think it keeps on being gentrified, obviously, but it was like east of Temple University, so you're kind of parallel to a big university. But I lived in it was called the Sewing Factory, and it was an old sewing factory that they converted into lofts. Like, so the building and people who lived there was really nice. I don't want to say really nice. It was like just big warehouse space. It was really spacious, which was awesome.
Is that where you heard the guy get murdered?
No, that was like actually closer to downtown. Just in it. It's funny with Philly. There's like Erin said, you can be in like walking down this block and it seems really nice and safe, and then you cross the street and then you go a little bit further and you're like, wait a minute, where am I? It can change very quickly. And this was 2 or 3 blocks up from where I lived. That when I first moved here, there was a nice enough neighborhood. And it just wasn't a great neighborhood. So like when
sorry.
After that that shooting that I was there for, I went out and I talked to the cops who were there, and I was like, hey, I just moved in here. Is that a problem? They just laughed, and they were like, that was a bad idea. And I moved out a week later. So
I'm sorry. All right, I'm going to help you guys out then. I'm going to ask you guys a question we always ask everyone. What's the best thing about Philadelphia, and what's the worst thing about Philadelphia?
You gave a bunch of worsts.
Yeah, I mean, you heard the worst. I was just about to give some good things about Philly. This isn't the case anymore because we don't live in the city proper, but it's a very bikeable city. And you can be anywhere in 20 to 30 minutes on your bike, which is awesome for the most part. I mean, there's obviously weather to contend with, but I love that about Philly. You didn't have to worry about a car. You didn't have to worry about parking. It's just really friendly for biking. It's cool. Also, it's a pretty magical place to be when it snows. The city just completely dead and quiet, and as soon as the streets are blanketed with snow, it's just dead silent and no one's out. And there's been times when I bring cross-country skis out and just ski down the middle of the road, and it's just a really, really special place to be in winter.
I like that. That sounds really nice.
Yeah.
I would add that has a very thriving artist community. There's just an awesome music scene, a great theater scene.
Great food scene.
Yeah, and the food, there's so much amazing food, so many amazing restaurants. And for just specifically for artists, I just feel like it's one of those places where there's a city. I think this has been changing as city living becomes more expensive everywhere in the United States. And it's affecting Philadelphia as well. But back in the day, at least when I originally lived here, it was more affordable. You could be an artist here more easily and make a living and do your art as opposed to being in a larger city. So that was certainly a perk.
So Chris's comment here, I think is kind of just spot on at the end of the day, and this might just solve the entire dilemma of whether or not bad things happen here. That it's a lifestyle that grows on you. I love it and hate it always. I do love it enough to have settled in here. It's always a teeter-totter of good and bad. And I feel like I have a similar experience. It sounds like Nathan might too. But it can be a rough city. It can be an absolutely beautiful city. It's a very unique city. Obviously, like a whole list I went through. So there's really kind of it's not a cookie cutter city. It's got a really long history, a long past, a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, a lot of like fascinating things. It's the birthplace of our entire country. Of course, it's going to be a little rough. You know, everything started here.
One thing that's really interesting, I just remembered, is the downtown Philadelphia. It's on a grid, and it was the first city to really do that. And it was after the London fires, where people were just decimated, and the fire departments couldn't reach areas because it was just such winding streets. So they actually laid Philadelphia out on a grid. And since it does have this history, it just has a lot of really beautiful architecture. It does have some amazing history. So.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a neat city.
Scene always makes me feel at home here. Yeah, very cool music scene, like art scene. It's just such a good artist town. I don't know. Anyway, unless there's any other.
Will Smith. Yeah.
That doesn't help David.
So
David hates Will Smith.
He's the worst. Will Smith is literally the worst.
Rocky was
Rocky. Is Sylvester Stallone from? Because he seems so New Jersey. Is he from Philadelphia?
Philadelphia. I'm not exactly sure. I want to say he's from New York or Jersey or something, but
so he just said it there because he even doesn't talk very Philadelphia-ish, does he? In the movie,
I don't know. He put Philly on the map in a huge way, though, with that film.
I have to say one thing. I moved to Philly and I couldn't hear the accent in Philly. I know I didn't have one because I didn't grow up in Philly, but everyone would talk about the Philly accent and I couldn't hear it. And then we moved to LA. We were there for 8 years, and I came back, and that's all I can hear is the Philly accent. It's
like what? Do it.
I can't. I'm not like, I don't know. All I know is water.
All right, Jens, you're gonna go down to the Wawa and get some water, and then some batteries throw at the Eagles. What?
With A's, like there's a weird A pronunciation which I can't replicate, but yeah. It's all but anyway, what do you guys think about Philly?
How far? Wait, I have a couple questions. How far is the nearest Wawa to you guys?
I don't know.
There's not a Wawa very close, actually, that I can think of.
Sought one out.
There's a 7-Eleven not too far at all.
I thought Wawas were better. Have you been to a Wawa since you guys have been back?
Yep.
Yeah, the job I just had, I had catered by Wawa every weekend.
Oh, that's nice. Was it good?
Yeah, surprisingly. Not healthy, but good, you know.
What's your next question?
Yeah. What's the most interesting thing that ever happened to you in Philadelphia?
Most interesting thing? David, these questions. I think that one of the best nights I've had here was when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And it was just the most joyous, wonderful night I can imagine. I went to my brother's restaurant, had drinks, had great food. They won, and him and I took our bikes, and we biked down, and we probably walked like 5 or 6 miles just through all these celebrations. And yeah, there was some crazy stuff going on, but 95% of people were just celebrating and so happy, and it was just so much fun. It was like really beautiful and unifying, and everyone was hugging, and didn't matter like who you were or what you look like. Like I feel like racism was gone that night. Like, you know, all these like things that like have us all on edge all the time. Like that all just went away for one night, and just everyone, like the city of brotherly love actually lived up to his name for a night. And it was really special, honestly. Like truly, I'm not even just saying that because I'm a Philly fan. It was pretty unique.
That's right.
And we should plug Christopher Davis's restaurant, because if you go to Philly, I feel like it's a place you should go.
The Urban Village.
Don't you think if someone goes to Philadelphia, they should definitely have a meal there?
especially
Absolutely.
since they have, since it's one of the few places that have a really solid setup for outdoor dining.
Oh,
Outdoor dining is now not a thing in Philly because of COVID. So
Yeah.
if you want to dine out at a restaurant, they are a very, very good contender for that.
CB Actor Traveler had a question about Silver Linings Playbook as to whether or not it was an accurate depiction of Philly.
I was actually an extra in that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I got I don't know how I found it, but they were looking for people who had cars that were earlier than 98 or something. And I had a 95 Accord, so I automatically got the job. I got paid like $150 to go pretend to tailgate down at the Eagle Stadium. And it was funny because, you know, they had us all pull in and set up like all these fake parties and gave us all these coolers full of food. So the people that I was there with were like, you know, decked out in Eagles gear. It's all just like Philly people, you know, we're not actors, and none of us were.
Yeah.
We all just started like grilling everything. And at a certain point, it was like one of the production people like ran up to us. They're like, "No, what are you doing? You're eating the set dressing. Like this stuff is like hasn't been refrigerated in like 3 weeks. You weren't supposed to eat this stuff."
Why didn't they tell anyone? That's so dumb.
Thousands of people there. It was probably a really hard shoot to have control over.
I'm sure they didn't expect people to start eating the props.
Like 3 hot dogs. It was delicious.
I would say I've seen that movie. I think I've only seen it once, although it's a very good movie. In terms of the sports fanaticism, that it's pretty accurate with that for sure. And it kind of tips into one of the many interesting things that have happened to me in Philly was I was a glorified extra in another Bradley Cooper film called Limitless that filmed here. And that was a really awesome day for me. So I got to spend a few hours on set, meet Bradley Cooper, and be in a film that also has Bruce Lee in it, which was like a huge, big deal for me. So.
Oh, wow. I never heard of that movie.
Never seen. You should watch Limitless. It's a pretty good film.
It is good.
It was like the film. It was after Bradley Cooper was in The Hangover, and he had the clout to try and be a lead star. And this was the movie that was kind of the make or break for him. So he was the lead of the film. Robert De Niro was supporting, and it did really well. And it kind of launched his solo career, his leading man career, I'd say.
All right, guys, let's do this vote and wrap this puppy up.
Okay, because Christopher Davis says, amen to that.
Talking about the Eagles Super Bowl night, I'm sure.
Oh, I thought he was talking about going to, I forget what it's called again. Say it again. What's it called?
Urban Village.
Yeah, Urban Village. And where is it?
It's in Northern Liberties, which is a neighborhood in Philadelphia.
Okay. Yeah. Nathan, will you read Nancy Von Edmondson's quote? Because I don't totally understand it.
Nathan is in a lineup with Bradley Cooper. So it's kind of funny. I was originally called in to audition basically audition to be his stand-in. So they were looking for people of his size or type to be his stand-in for the film, which basically means when they're doing light setups that you're, standing in, so he doesn't have to stand there, and they can get the lighting correct so he can come in and then do the scene. I didn't get selected for that. But I was called back a week later, or a few weeks later, when they're actually filming the movie, to be in a scene where his character gets arrested and is in a police lineup. So they needed 4 other people who are generally of the same size and type as him for a police lineup. And 1, 2, 3 guys, Bradley Cooper, and then myself. So we just filed into the room. Scenes like you see me on screen for like a dozen seconds, perhaps. I have no lines, but got to hang out with Bradley Cooper on set. He introduced himself to me. He was like, "Hey, I'm Bradley." I was like, "Oh, yeah, I know who you are." Talked about improv for a little bit, but he was very focused. He was really, he had his head in the game, making a good film, and it was just a really fun day. So
totally. CB Actor Traveler says, "Not glorified, Nathan. I totally saw you in that like 2 weeks ago."
Yep.
So the shot is clearly Nathan. So you have a fan.
Yay. Yeah, every once in a while I have a friend who will be like, "Hey, wait, you were in this movie?" Because it still plays on TV pretty regularly. So
I want to see. I've never seen it. So you could see, how close are you to what's his name in the shot?
Standing right next to him. It's like he's right in the center of frame, and I'm just right next to him. So.
Oh, cool. So he was nice to you?
Yeah, he was really nice. He was great.
All right,
Awesome.
guys. It's becoming like the election night where like the count keeps getting pushed back and back and back, and it's like days later we still don't know who the winner is.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
All right.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Do bad things happen in Philadelphia?
Yes, they definitely do, and battery throwing is definitely a real thing.
Yeah.
But I also want to say that bad things happen in Philadelphia for Donald Trump.
That's true.
I mean, he was spot on. Like,
yeah,
his fears were came true.
Yeah, I mean, like, bad. It was a really bad thing for him. No, but like, I think for all the bad things, there's all the good things. It's it's not like, I'm trying to think of an example of a city that's like has way more good, but I can't even think of one.
Way more good than Philadelphia?
Like way more good than bad. I feel like every city is kind of teeter-tottering.
Oh,
like Philly's just like
same amount of stuff, right?
Are you talking about U.S. cities? Because oh my God, Christopher Davis has a request for Nathan. I'm not sure what it means.
So I did a commercial, shot a commercial in LA. It was I forget what company it was for.
He does have fans.
It's probably good to forget, but
Oasis.
Oasis Financial, yeah. So I had a line where I was like basically selling this product to people and just saying it's no risk. So that's my party down. Watch that series on television.
I want to see it. I wonder if it's on YouTube.
Oh, it is. The commercial?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely on. Yeah.
Nancy, you would. I can't believe we haven't taken you to the Mutter Museum. You would love it.
Yeah, it's actually surprising.
Next visit. Well,
whenever
wait,
it's
wait, the Mutter Museum or is it the Mutter Parade?
Mummers and Mutter.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, so Christopher Davis is really excited that you did the no risk commercial. Why don't you do it for him one more time, Nathan?
No risk.
And this high note we're on right now.
All right, so CB Actor Traveler, did they give you good, interesting things? I want to say another Philadelphia fact. I liked it, and I want to go back to Philadelphia. Whereas, like New York, I would go if I had a reason, but I don't care if I ever go back. But I want to go back and explore Philadelphia more. I kind of like the vibe of it. Like, there's nice parts of New York, and I like some of the shopping in New York. But all in all, I don't care. There was just a vibe in Philadelphia because I was ready for people to be awful. Because I even said, "Are people nice in Philadelphia to you guys?" And you're like, "Not really," but they were totally nice. It was such a different thing as New York. They were so much more civil. And the only place that people weren't nice to me is we went to the Reading Marketplace?
Yeah.
Is that where it's like the indoor thing where it's a total tourist trap?
Mm-hmm.
Where people told us to go. It's not great. I don't know why people like freak out over it. It was okay.
It's like Grand Central Market in LA. It's like,
yeah, it was nothing. Like, it was just a lot of touristy things. Like, I was excited because I thought, oh, it's gonna be like local stuff, but it's just like whatever. Like, I found better food outside of it. But yeah, the people there were like, I remember we went to some place and they were just in a hurry, and I was like, oh, I was asking questions and they were like, whatever, like, they weren't having it. I remember my friend and I went to one of the stalls and I was asking the guy something that you would ask before ordering, and he wouldn't get back to me. Then he turned and talked to someone else. So I just walked away and went to another stall. That's the only place, but everybody else was really great.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually noticed that since being back. It seems like people are more friendly and willing to help here than they were in LA.
Oh God, yeah.
More of like a fake, hi, can I help you? But I don't really want to help you.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to wrapping this puppy up.
So what are we supposed to do, Erin?
We're supposed to wrap up the podcast.
But, I thought we were supposed to vote or something on something.
Yeah, already voted. Bad things do happen in Philly.
Oh, okay. Well, we can't go yet because CB Actor Traveler says, how far out from Philly do you guys live now? Do you have reasons to go into the city? I mean, when things are normal?
Technically, we live in Philadelphia. We do live in Philadelphia proper, but we are kind of...
It's about a 10-minute drive.
Yeah, from downtown.
And I up until yesterday, I would drive it every day to go to work. And you can still, I mean, you can still go into the city and walk around, and there's lots of stuff to see from the outside. If you just want to take a stroll and you don't have to go in anywhere. It's getting colder, but you just got to bundle up.
Yeah. Nancy Evans says, don't go. She doesn't want the podcast to end ever.
Sorry.
We're pumping an hour and 15 now. I feel like we got to.
Are we? It's been that long? Oh my goodness. I'm all hopped up on cake.
I know you are. Okay. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be back again in 2 weeks. Please check out our Facebook page and Instagram account. We will be letting you know when the next live stream is. It might be a different day and time, so you got to check in. You got to follow us. And we're going to have another great topic. We don't know what it is yet.
Are we? Oh.
Yes. So that's another reason to follow us on social media. Please let us know what you would like us to cover, and we just might do it.
God, I didn't prepare anything. I was going to try to think of a quote that had something to do with Philadelphia. Do you guys know any that would pertain to Philadelphia?
Philadelphia. No.
I was going to say, Adrian.
But how do you work that into the, I don't know. Welcome to Bitchadelphia.